Congratulations, Mama. I heard you're pregnant and I'm so excited for you. But the first thing I want you to consider is your health and wellness. Why? Because it's not just about you anymore, boo. You actually now have another life that you are creating inside of you who totally depends on you for their health and nutrition. And today I want to walk you through a couple of things that you should consider first. I always feel like we have to start with pregnancy, health, and nutrition because, especially now with what's happening at the Black maternal health crisis, more and more Black women are being diagnosed as high risk. More and more Black and Brown women are being induced in their labors. More and more Black and Brown women are having C-sections, and they're not all medically necessary. And so I'm starting with health and nutrition because that is the one thing that we can control. We can't always control the system. We can't always control what happened, but we can control how we treat ourselves and how we treat our bodies. How you eat affects your health and your baby's health because although it may sound cliche, you are literally what you eat. So what you put into your body absorbs that, and also what you put into your body, your baby will absorb that through the placenta. Dieting is not something that you want to do when you're trying to conceive when you're pregnant. You literally want to eat more foods. And I know that may sound strange, but you want to eat more foods, but make sure they're more whole foods. And when I say whole foods, I mean actual vegetables, actual fruit, and less food with sugar, less food with salt. Honor yourself, honor your cravings, think about what you're wanting. Don't necessarily deprive yourself, but definitely make sure that you are focusing on your water intake. Get in as much water as possible. You don't necessarily have to reach a gallon, but if you don't reach a gallon, make sure you're drinking more water today than you did yesterday. Make sure you're drinking more water than you are sodas and juices and high sugar liquids. And fruits, like eat those instead of grabbing chips, maybe grab an apple, maybe grab an orange. So think about things that you can sub out. And what'll start to happen is you'll start to eat even more because you will start to crowd out, meaning you will eat more of the good and less of the bad. Some tests that you can ask your doctor to do so that you can understand your baseline health is a basic chemistry panel and a basic blood level panel, because that will give you the basic of where you are and where you need to be. So it'll check things such as your potassium level, your calcium levels, and your magnesium levels, which are all very important in pregnancy. You want to make sure that your vitamins and minerals are adequate. You want to make sure they're therapeutic. And if your levels are higher or lower, you'll know, hey, I need to add more in this area. And you can also ask them, what can I do to bring those levels to be at a therapeutic level for me and my baby? When you're going to your doctor's office and they're completing screenings, make sure you ask them, what screenings am I going to get today? Am I going to get blood work done? Will I get a urine screen today? Those things are very important throughout the process of your pregnancy because you can see if you have any deficits meaning if any of your levels are low. Some women, not all, can either have pre-existing conditions, which means you have a chronic condition before you get pregnant, or you can develop a chronic condition while you're pregnant, which could be preeclampsia or gestational diabetes, just to name a few. So let's talk about the chronic conditions. Preeclampsia is high blood pressure that develops during pregnancy. Gestational diabetes is the chronic condition diabetes that develops during pregnancy. This is why health and wellness is extremely important. Not only could it possibly prevent these diseases from occurring, but if you already have these diseases, it can help you manage them a lot more appropriately during your pregnancy. If you do have chronic conditions such as preeclampsia or diabetes, then you may be labeled as high risk. High risk pregnancy meaning you should be managed a lot closer. High risk meaning that there could be a danger to yourself or your baby during or after childbirth. High risk can also lead you to a cascade of interventions, which could be things such as induction of labor. It can also lead to C-sections. Most women try to prevent a C-section if possible. So if you do have a high-risk diagnosis, make sure that you're talking to your provider about the high-risk diagnosis. Walk in and ask them, what is high risk? What does that mean for me? What can you and I do? How can we work together to manage this high-risk diagnosis? And how is this going to affect my labor and birthing outcomes and ultimately my baby? Your provider may want you to be induced. Your provider may want you to have a C-section. Depending on what your high-risk diagnosis is from, that will determine your labor and your birth outcomes. It can determine, and it can have a challenging effect on how you may see your labor process going, how you may see your birth dreams going. So make sure whatever your desires are for your birth, you discuss that with your provider, even if you have a high-risk diagnosis. I don't want you to take the high-risk label and let that shut down your desires for your birth. I want you to still go in with your desires, your dreams, and discuss what it is that you want. And then see how you guys can work together, you guys meaning yourself and your provider, to get as close to your birth desires as possible.